Welcome! In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this Goalake 8-port cloud-managed PoE switch. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So let's get this open. Here we have user manual. This shows the product features. You can pause and read through those. So this supports PoE, IEEE 802.3 AF/AT. Each port has a maximum power of 30 watts. This shows some applications of this. Here it's connected to a network video recorder, PoE camera, PoE splitter, Wi-Fi access point. This shows the cloud management. So let's pull this out. So here's the switch. There we go. So this is in a metal case. The bottom has some keyhole slots for mounting. So that would be most ideal for mounting in this orientation. There are some screws on here, like you could put some ears on for a rack mount. We have vents in both sides. On the front, we have 8 PoE ports. The 8 PoE ports are 10/100 megabit per second. Then we have 2 uplink ports. Those are gigabit. And then we have an SFP port that is also gigabit. There. So a switch like this would be good for powering your PoE cameras. Cameras use well under 100 megabit. Actually, they're under 10 megabit. So this can easily handle that. But if you do have some higher bandwidth devices, the uplink on it is still gigabit. So it's not sharing 100 meg for all of these. So this has a standard power cord on it. The cord is 28 inches. So I'll plug in there. So let's get this set up on the app. So to set this up, I'm going to use an iPad. You could also use an iPhone or Android device. I'll scan the QR code on the manual. I'll open it up. So here we have the SSC PoE app. I'll hit get. It has a login page. I'm going to register an account. I'm going to skip over this. I'll let you know if there's anything out of the ordinary. So I've registered the account. Now I'll log in. So it says project list. I'll hit plus in the bottom right. It says project name. I'll say network. So I'll tap the green icon that says scan code input ID. Once to access the camera, I'll say OK. And now I'll scan the code on the bottom of the switch. Now the switch is not plugged in. It hasn't asked me to plug it in, but I'm going to plug it into power. I'm also going to plug it into my network on the LAN 1 port. So I'll hit create project at the bottom. Okay, so that worked. So now we're online. So we have the network here. It shows the ports. It shows which ports are being used. So I will plug a computer into it. So this is just a laptop. I'll plug into port 1 and we'll watch the app. I don't know if this will automatically update. I'll pull down. There we go. And it's showing that port 1 is being used. Let's tap on that. And here we see the details. So we can see LAN port 1 is at gigabit speed. PoE port 1 is at 100 megabit. Let's go to device. So this has some information about our switch. And if we go to setting, it shows the PoE ports and we can turn them on or off. So let me get a PoE camera. So I'll plug this in. Let's do port 4. And I'll plug it into my camera here. So now the camera is powered. I'm not sure we'll be able to see it on the camera. But if we look in the app, we see the icon is lit up next to this camera. So it says it's currently using 1.6 watts. So if we hit device information, this will show us a descriptor of each of the ports and tell us what the icons mean. So let me add a couple more cameras. Here are 4 more cameras. See if I can get these plugged in. That's on port 5. That's showing up. Port 6. Port 7. Port 5 is this white one. Okay, I think it was just starting up. Should have one more here. Here we go. Boy, this is getting to be a little messy. See how we're doing there. There we go. So now we have 5 PoE cameras hooked up. So let's look at our power. So it says PoE voltage is 53.3 volts. PoE power is 14.1 watts. So the max wattage on this is 150 watts. So even with all these cameras connected, we're well under the limit of this. Now the switch itself, I've plugged into a power meter and it's drawing 22.5 watts. Let's try something real quick. I'm going to shut the lights off. That will set all of these cameras into night vision mode. Let's see if that takes the wattage up a little bit. Okay, so I hear them switching over and it did. It took it up to about 16.7 watts. The infrared emitters on these are LED, so they're super efficient. So the infrared turned off, now it's down to 15 watts. And if we go back to our display, we can see the different ports and we can see how much power each is consuming. So these are each consuming around 3 watts. One of them is at 4. Let's go to setting. Now let's turn off power to these. So first I'll hit power on the laptop. Let's see what happens there. So if I hit the power button on the right, that will restart the port. If I hit the little switch, see what happens. So that probably just shuts off power. So let me shut off power to the ports 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if we go back to device, we're drawing 0 watts of PoE power. Let's turn one camera on. And we're drawing 1.2 watts. That will probably go up as it boots up. So that's the Goalake cloud-managed 8-port PoE switch. Now I said 8-port, this actually has 11 ports total. If you're just using regular Ethernet, you have 10 ports. Now I really like PoE cameras. As you can tell, one hindrance of PoE cameras, if you're not already into them, is getting a PoE switch to connect them to. That's where this Goalake can be a great option. You have 8 ports here, so you could hook up 8 cameras. Now you could also connect other things like Wi-Fi access points or PoE phones. The nice thing about a switch like this is once you run your camera, you just have to run a single network cable from your PoE switch to your camera, and it supplies your power and your network. And the nice thing about this is it's cloud managed. So say you have this at your business and you try and log in and you can't get to one of your security cameras, you can go into this switch and you can check the status of it. Maybe it shows a connection but it's not working. So you can toggle that power and turn it off and on, which really gives you the ability to restart it remotely. That way you can try to bring that camera back online without having to physically go to your office to do that. Now since this has 8 PoE ports over here and the uplink ports, you can hook 8 cameras into this and you're not using any of the main 8 ports to connect back to your main network. Now I did plug my laptop in here, but I could just as easily plug my laptop in over here because my laptop is not PoE. So if you have an internet router, you can connect it into the LAN port, you can hook your PoE here, and then you can continue out on your LAN here to maybe another switch or a computer or some other device. Now if you have some higher end stuff, you can use SFP to connect to it. I've recently seen fiber internet routers that have SFP. So if you're able to do that, then you have all 10 ports available for your internet. So I found this super easy to set up. You create an account on the app, you log in, you scan the code, and it automatically connects to the switch. So even if you're not super tech savvy, you could probably handle setting this up. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.